Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad-Bhagavatam class, which is from Canto 2, Chapter 3, and today we're doing text 23. We're very fortunate to have His Holiness Candramauli Swami here to give the class. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. See there? Okay. Right. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And it's all yours, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jivam Chayo Bhagavatam Grivenam Najatumartyam Vilabheta Yastu Vishnupadya Manujastulasya Swasanchalo Yastu Naveda Gandam. A person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee on his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. Purport. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, a breathing dead body is a ghost. When a man dies, he is called dead. When he again appears in a subtle form, not visible to our present vision, and yet acts, such a dead body is called a ghost. Ghosts are always very bad elements, always creating a fearful situation for others. Similarly, the ghost-like non-devotees who have no respect for the pure devotees, nor for the Vishnu deity in the temple, create a fearful situation for the devotees at all times. The Lord never accepts any offerings by such impure ghosts. There is a common saying that one should first love the dog of the beloved before one shows any loving sentiments to the beloved. The stage of pure devotion is attained by sincerely serving a pure devotee of the Lord. The first condition of devotional service of the Lord is therefore to be the servant of a pure devotee, and this condition is fulfilled by the statement, reception of the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotee who has also served another pure devotee. That is the way of pure disciplic succession of devotional parampara. Maharaja Rahugana inquired from the great saint Jad Bharat as to how he had attained such a liberated stage of a Paramahansa. And in answer, the great saint replied as follows, Rahugana tam tapasya naiti, nachayaya nirvapanad grihavam, nachandasa naivam, dalagni suryayar, vina mahatpada riso bisekam. O King Rahugana, the perfectional stage of devotional service, where the Paramahansa stage of life cannot be attained unless one is blessed by the dust of the feet of great devotees. It is never attained by tapasya, austerity, the Vedic worshipping process, accepting the renounced sort of life, the discharge of household life, the chanting of Vedic hymns, or the performance of penances in the hot sun, within cold water, or before the blazing fire. In other words, Lord Shri Krishna is the property of his pure, unconditional devotees, and as such, only devotees can deliver Krishna to another devotee. Krishna is never obtainable directly. Lord Chaitanya therefore designated himself as Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur, Dasa Dasa Anudas, or the most obedient servant of the servants of the Lord, who maintain the Gopi damsels at brunch. A pure devotee, therefore, never approaches the Lord directly, but tries to please the servants of the Lord's servants, and thus the Lord becomes pleased, and only then can the devotee relish the taste of the tulsi leaves stuck to his lotus feet. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord is never to be found by becoming a great scholar of the Vedic literatures, but he is very easily approachable through his pure devotee. In Vrindavan, all the pure devotees pray for the mercy of Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. Srimati Radharani is the tender-hearted feminine counterpart of the Supreme Hold, resembling the perfect stage of the worldly feminine nature. Therefore, the mercy of Radharani is available very readily to the sincere devotees, and once she recommends such a devotee to Lord Krishna, the Lord at once accepts the devotee's admittance into his association. The conclusion is, therefore, one should be more serious about seeking the mercy of the devotee than that of the Lord directly. And by one's doing so, by the goodwill of that devotee, the natural attraction of the service of the Lord will be revived. Om Gyan Timidandasya Ganajana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pasyatya De Satarine Vanchakopa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Is the audio clear?
Very clear, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you. And louder too now.
Yeah. Okay. So this verse sums up the essence of bhakti. Sums up the essence of the process of bhakti. And what is that? One cannot approach the Lord. It's not possible. Krishna says in the Adi Purana, one who says he's my devotee, not my devotee. But one who says he's the devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee. This is the way to the heart of the Lord through his pure representative. And one has to take shelter and receive guidance and receive instructions, receive knowledge from Krishna's pure devotee. That is the way to Krishna. When one gets we sing every day in the temples in the Guru Vastakam prayer, the first prayer that we sing in the morning for Mangalarti, Yasya Prashada Bhagavat Prashada Yasya Prashadan Nagatikatopi. That by the mercy of the spiritual master, one gets the mercy of Krishna. Without his mercy, Nagatikatopi, everything is useless. So yeah, this is the process. There are people who say, well, I understand that I have a direct relationship with Krishna. I'm Krishna's part and parcel. Therefore, why should there be anyone in between me and Krishna? Krishna is in my heart. I can worship Krishna. I can serve Krishna. I can, offer whatever I want to Krishna. What do I need someone in between? Where is it? What's the necessity of such things? So they question. And even people who initially come to devotional service may also have that same concern. But what is there mentality, they don't know how to approach Krishna. Krishna says, this is how you approach me. If they want to approach Krishna the way they want to approach Krishna, without considering what Krishna wants, then whatever they do is Shrama Eva Hikevam, is useless. That has no benefit. So, I mean, when you buy a item, say you buy electronic item, they always come with some instruction book. And the item may be very diversified, but by reading the instruction book, it becomes clear how to use the item in the way that's designed. If we think, oh, well, I don't have to read the instruction book, I can just look at the buttons and just push some different buttons and it'll probably work. That means you don't understand the process of how to do things. So there's a principle. And the principle is that we can't approach, we're not purified enough to approach Krishna directly. So we need Krishna's representative to guide us. And the dust of his lotus feet on our head, as it says here, is his guidance in Krishna consciousness, his instructions. These are the dust particles. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Akya Ana Karita Manias. We sing every day in the temples. Guru Mukha Padma Vakyamne. His words, they're my life, they're my foodstuffs, they're my nourishment. I don't have to go anywhere else. Everything is there. And then the next line, what is that? Guru Mukha Padma Chitete Koriya Ana Karita Manias. Si Guru Charane Rate. Ese Utamagate. Ye Prasadi Purva Sarva As. Attachment to the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Everything is there. All success is there in all aspects of existence. Simply by serving the lotus feet of the spiritual master and pleasing him by that service, that is a two-part program. Not that you just serve the way you want to or interpret his instructions according to how you think they should be executed. You have to understand the instructions, you have to understand what they mean and how they apply, and then you have to work in that way, in the mood of trying to please him. And then the spiritual master is very kind by nature, and because he's representing our eternal Father, so he also has that fatherly mood. And he moves his disciples in that way as a father would take care of his sons or daughters. So one requires that type of connection with Krishna. Otherwise, as it says here, there is, you can perform any other spiritual activity you want. Austerities, penances, various types of worship, chanting mantras, being expert in mystic power and various other spiritual attainments, but you'll never get Krishna. Because Krishna is not attracted by these things. He is attracted by devotion, and devotion is executed through his representative. The spiritual master is he's like the lens, but he is also like a transparent media. He's both. In other words, he takes what you offer to Krishna and offers it to Krishna himself. In other words, he doesn't keep it from himself. He simply is that medium by which he's like Prabhupada said, using the example, the eyes, they have some deficiency. They may even have some cataracts or some inability to see. But if one corrects the eyes or one gives corrective glasses, then one can see things clearly. Now, the glasses don't see, nor do the glasses get any credit, but still, the glasses are the medium by which one can visualize the external environment. So in the same way, by hearing, accepting, understanding, and applying the instructions of the spiritual master, then that medium of transparency reaches Krishna. And another thing he does, just like a lens, not only just like a lens helps one to see, so in the same way, the spiritual master is also helps you to see Krishna. He's not only the medium by which we offer our service, and he offers it to Krishna, but he's also then those vision by which we can connect with Krishna in a direct way. So he's both. So this is the importance. Therefore, those who understand the principles of devotional service make the instructions of the Guru their life and soul. They focus completely on that. And therefore, they are successful in their execution of devotional service. In other words, they attain purity of consciousness and the association of the Supreme Lord. So this is the process here. And here it says that there's these persons who in the material world, they have no respect for pure devotees. They have no attachment or respect for the temple deities. Go down the page a little bit with the purport there. The other way. Yeah. I don't know that you went back again. Go back down again. Okay.
Keep going.
First, yeah, stop there. The first condition of devotional service is therefore to be a servant of a pure devotee. And if this condition is fulfilled by the statement of reception of the devotee's lotus feet, who has served another, that is the way of pure devotee. In other words, the spiritual master also has a spiritual master, and he also, and everything goes back to Krishna. It's like an electrical current. The current travels through the copper wire nicely, but if there's a break in the wire, even though the wire is made out of copper, the electricity will not flow. It'll break at that time. So everything goes to Krishna through the spiritual master, offers it to his spiritual master, and it ultimately comes back to Krishna. And that's called the cyclic succession. And Evam Parampara Prakta Evam Rajasayo Vidu mentions in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that one should work in relationship to the cyclic succession. In other words, one should receive a spiritual master who is authorized, and not just anyone who poses himself as a spiritual master. There are many in the name of spiritual master who do not have the qualities, nor are they connected to any higher authority. They claim to be the highest authority. And therefore they say, if you worship me, then I'll take you to the, I'll give you spiritual mercy. I'll take you to the spiritual world. But they're a block because they're not qualified. Their disqualification is their own, pride, thinking that they in themselves are qualified. Because the spiritual master also knows it is only by the grace of his spiritual master that he is actually in that role of a spiritual master. So everything comes back to Krishna through this chain of disciplic succession, which Krishna very systematically explains in the very beginning of the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And that's called parampara. Amnaya. Amnaya is another word, and that's the Bengali statement, amnaya. But both mean the same. Parampara, disciplic succession, line of pure devotees that ultimately connect with Krishna. And in our process of devotional service, it mentions that there are 4 bona fide sampradayas. We are the members of the Gaudiya Brahma, Gaudiya, Madhva Sampradaya. Madhvacharya is included in our Sampradaya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the last link amongst the great souls in our Sampradaya, and therefore we follow the instructions of Lord Chaitanya, who has given his instructions to the six Goswamis. So the books of the six Goswamis are actually our connection with Krishna in philosophical knowledge, devotional practice. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya has authorized that. Therefore, Rupanuga, we're called Rupanugas, followers of Srila Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami has given us the whole science of bhakti in a somewhat of a systematic, what we say, what is it? What's the word? Concise way in the Nectar of Devotion. So we should all read and study that book, Nectar of Devotion. It is required if you want to make advancement in spiritual life. It answers all the questions of how bhakti works, and it teaches the different stages of bhakti all the way up to prema bhakti. Prabhupada said in one lecture, he said, read it once, read it twice, read it thrice. Know it, not only read it, but know it. It is the handbook for the execution of devotional service. Sometimes it's called the expansion of Srimati Radharani's mercy in the form of transcendental literature. So, yeah, there's no lack of information available. There's no lack of facilities available. We have to take advantage of this great science of bhakti, because when one becomes a devotee and reaches a certain level of spiritual practice, in other words, when they get fixed in devotional service, then all of their problems are gone. They're actually experiencing the happiness of devotional service. And if they continue in that way, they will connect with Krishna directly in devotional service and ultimately achieve the goal of devotional service, which is to go back home, back to God. This is all the mercy of the great souls, which is actually the mercy of Krishna coming through the great souls who carry that mercy. Now, this is the process of devotional service. No other process can take one to the perfectional stage. Jnana, karma, yoga, and various types of spiritual elevational processes always fall short. Jnana can give you freedom from material suffering, but it can't give you bhakti, and it's temporary. Karma can also somehow or other free you from material attachments, karma yoga. But none of these things, even austerities, penances. When we have the example of Vishwamitra Muni, he wanted to become a great yogi, and he performed tremendous austerities. He used to sit down, and Prabhupada mentions it here, sitting in cold water in the winter times, sitting in the hot sun in the summertime with fires all around. He's referring to Vishwamitra Muni indirectly, or in that statement, is there in this particular purport. But Vishwamitra Muni he was so powerful in his austerities until Indra became somewhat disturbed by his austerities and sent a beautiful society girl from the heavenly planets. Her name was Menaka. She was the best in his courtyard. He sent her. And simply by the tinkling of her ankle bells, it broke his meditation. When he saw her, he completely gave up his spiritual austerities. He married her. And there was a child. That child was called Sakuntala. Everyone knows there's a great story in the life of Sakuntala. There's many stories about her life. She was, a daughter of a society girl from the heavenly planets and a great yogi. But after he broke his meditation, stayed in household life for a while, he condemned himself, went back again, performed his austerities with more determination. fixed and not going to be broken by any kind of external attraction. Another girl, another society girl came. Her name was Rumba. And but this time, rather than becoming attracted to her, he became angry at her. And he used his spiritual power, and fire came out between his eyes, and he burnt her to ashes by the power of his austerity. As soon as he did that, he fell down from his austerities. Because attraction and aversion are the same. If you're attracted to something and then you take the opposite, you're averse to something, both of them are a kind of attachment to material life. Therefore, they're still in the category of duality, and therefore they cannot free one from the material energy. One has to be freed from both attraction and aversion by coming to the spiritual platform where one is not disturbed by either one, because one is fixed in a higher consciousness. Now, this is Krishna consciousness. Devotees who practice Krishna consciousness are not attracted to the external objects of sense gratification offered by the material energy, nor are they averse. They simply stay fixed in their devotional service to the Lord. And by the mercy of the spiritual master, they purify themselves and ultimately receive the stage of pure devotional service. So this is a very nice purport. There's many other points here that we could expand on. But the devotees, the materialists who, although they are walking, they're breathing, they're talking, this verse says they're dead. Why? Because there's no spiritual life. Even Prabhupada, when Prabhupada was in New York City, he was walking down the street and he turned to his devotees. He said, I'm seeing all of these people simply as the walking dead. There's no life in them. They're just bodies moving this way and that way. That's all. Life is spiritual life. And so material life is simply a misnomer. It causes one to think in the wrong way and act in the wrong way and ultimately receive another body to do the same thing life after life after life, until the soul wakes up to its actual position and seeks out Krishna as representative, the bona fide spiritual master, and follows that instruction as their life and soul. They have to continue in this cycle for birth and death, life after life after life. There is no cessation. One can revolve in the cycle of samsara for millions of lives. There's no end to it. There's no number that you reach and then you stop. You have to get out of that cycle through the process of the grace of the spiritual master. So one has to seek out that personality and fall at his feet, praying for his mercy, and ask them to guide you in devotional service. And the spiritual masters are very merciful. They canvass on behalf of Krishna to look for such sincere servants, sincere souls, so they can bring them back to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for such a wonderful, wonderful lecture. So many points that you brought up that will really, really help us. I know I was just taking notes profusely as you were going on. Thank you very much. I'm going to stop sharing. Devotees, please turn on your cameras. And this is the time to ask Maharaj any questions that you have. If you have some realizations, some connections that you'd like to share, also, you can do that at that time or at this time. So we'll start with Krishna Kaviraj Prabhu. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to you, Maharaj. All glories to all of the Vaishnavas. Guru Maharaj, one may be endeavoring with much effort and care to try their very best to follow the instructions, advice, guidelines of the spiritual master, and in line with senior Vaishnavas, are there any indicators that will tell whether that devotee is on track or if they're going off track?
Well, maybe not initially, but if you stay on track, you'll become happy. If you stay off track, you'll be miserable. You won't be happy. Happiness is a symptom of the soul's nature. And devotional service brings at least peace of mind, which is the foundation by which happiness develops. Now, that's an indication. And if we're becoming more attached to Krishna and less attached to this, to material energy, is also an indicator. When I look at material energy, do I think, oh, let me see what I missed out there and try to make up for lost time? Then that means you're really not making advancement. If you when you view the material energy and how it's working, you think, what a waste of time. Then that's an indication you're making advancement. When you get disgusted with this material life, then you're on track. Because material life is not life. It's just the body. We're not the body. And we have to remember that we're not the body. We maintain the body just like you maintain a car in order to get someplace. You maintain the body because to live in this world requires the body, and to practice devotional service, to use the body in that way. But it's not about fulfilling our desires for happiness or success. That doesn't come by way of material activities.
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, there's a question in the chat from Nishinga Leela Dasi. It says, Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And he quotes from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 22, and Text 7 in the purport. It says, the favor of the spiritual master is not received through any other part of the body but the ears. Then
What is that verse again?
Canto 2, Chapter 22, Text 7.
No, it's not possible. There's only 10 chapters in Canto 2.
Okay, so maybe she got she's saying though, probably she got the reference wrong, but
it's probably 2:27, right?
It's probably okay. It says the favor of the spiritual master is not received through any other part of the body but the ears. She says, right. I've been contemplating on that for some time, Maharaj, and please elaborate on it.
Yeah, Shravanam is the basis of the whole process of devotional service. In order to chant, you have to hear. In order to remember, you have to hear. In order to worship, you have to hear. In order to pray, you have to understand what to pray for, and therefore you have to hear. Hearing is the basis of knowledge. Hearing is the basis of activity. It all comes from hearing. You can see something, but the eyes are deficient. We may not interpret exactly what we see in the way that it is. So seeing is not complete knowledge. Hearing is complete knowledge. And hearing from the right source. That means hearing from those who are in the role of the spiritual teachers, or those who represent the spiritual teachers. So yeah. So hearing is first. Without hearing properly, we won't be able to do anything in the right way. That's why we're here. We're discussing. We're hearing. I'm speaking. You're hearing. We're talking. We're all hearing. Hearing gives knowledge, gives direction, gives clarity of vision, and it destroys wrong attitudes. We may have a certain conception of something. Now, when we hear the right conception, then we're back in the right and proper consciousness again. Hearing is everything. And hearing remains activated 24/7. That's the only sense that doesn't stop. Even when you're sleeping, hearing is still available. We get up by an alarm clock. We get up when our mother shakes us. Our wife shakes us. Get up, come on, you rascal. You're wasting time sleeping in that, that cold grave called a bed. So yeah, it's all about hearing.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Wonderful
Hearing,
explanation.
yeah, so reading is hearing, hearing is hearing.
Yeah, the Singalina did in fact admit that the text was actually, she didn't type it out properly. So anyway, okay.
2227, right?
She said 3. We need to go down to this, pull up the chat again. It said, thank you. I got disconnected, so I listened to the recording. My mistake. The verse is 3, chapter 3. I mean, Canto 3, chapter 22, text 7.
Okay.
So she said Canto 2 at first, but actually it's Canto 3.
Canto 3 has 31 chapters, yeah.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So anyone else that want to ask a question of Maharaj, please unmute yourself now. In the meantime, I have one question I want to ask. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. It's okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance to August of Prabhupada. This is Anasuya Maharaj. I'm sorry for joining in about 15 minutes late. I apologize. I was finishing up my service. Maharaj, you spoke, the verse spoke, and you also spoke about the importance of a spiritual master. And sometimes we come across a situation, Maharaj, where the spiritual master is not present so much, whether it be physically in the planet or physically in the same demographic area. And we see the guru once a year, probably, if at that, or probably once in 2 years. But at the same time, the disciple and the spiritual master don't have a strong bond based on the disciple's behavior and action. So what does one do in that situation, Maharaj?
The idea is the question is, how do you strengthen that bond between the spiritual master and the disciple?
Yes, Maharaj. How can one strengthen the bond when there's so much distance, demographically? And also, if the guru does not, for example, like Japataka Swami has 55,000 something disciples, and it's not like Maharaj can manage, all of them. So what is the next quote unquote level, Maharaj, in terms of guiding and strengthening the devotee in their spiritual life?
Well, I think that it's up to the disciple to make an effort to strengthen that bondage by hearing his lectures, taking the opportunity to go wherever he is when the opportunity arises. Just like I'm here in Ujjain now, and we just had a big festival. So 3 of my disciples were here. One came from Croatia, one came from Mayapur, the other one came from Mumbai. So they made an effort to get here. They spent some money, they got on the plane, they made some effort. So, but that was open to everyone. So maybe everyone, for whatever reason, couldn't make it, but they could hear the recordings. And then based on hearing the recordings, they could also ask questions based on what they heard. I mean, it's all based on your eagerness. You can't blame the demography or this situations. Whoever's eager for that knowledge will get it. It's a matter of being eager. That's all. If we're not eager, or if we're, well, we say somewhat lackadaisical, or if we're just routine, if it comes our way, fine. If it doesn't, that's okay also. No. So you have to see, because there are many persons who are in similar situations, but they don't let the situation interfere with that relationship. They build that relationship no matter what.
Hare Krishna.
So it's a matter of desire. You may have to make a little bit more effort because of demography, but that effort is also bhakti.
Okay.
When the spiritual master comes to your area, do you stay home? Instead of going to his classes, visiting where he's going? Our problem is our routine material life still remains the most important thing in our life. And that is the problem. As long as we keep our routine material life as foremost and keeping our devotional service as secondary, we will always have these questions. When we want Krishna more than anything, then there's no problems. You'll get Krishna, you'll get the opportunities.
So it depends on our determination. I'm sorry, please go on.
Yeah. It's just a matter of eagerness, that's all. How bad do you want Krishna? You might have to make a little effort because of, from geography or whatever, or from whatever reason. But why does that effort become something that is not desirable? Because we don't have that eagerness, that's why.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for such a wonderful explanation. And we have to be, this is very clear to us.
If you want Krishna, you can get him. But it all depends on your eagerness.
All right. It can't be more direct than that. So here we go. Hare Krishna.
That's why when we hear that a person's material life falls apart, we think, wonderful, isn't that good? Now they can chant, now they can make advancement. Yeah, we think like that, When somebody has some calamities in their material life, we think, wonderful, Krishna's mercy. Because the false crutch is now exposed for what it is. I mean, how many people get a chance for devotional service? Very few. And how many people who get that chance actually take full advantage of it? Even fewer still. Because it's such a rare thing. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made it less rare by his mercy. But it's because if you become Krishna conscious, all your problems are solved. There's no more problems. Physical, mental, spiritual, aesthetic, economic, social, political, whatever is there in categories, none of these things are anymore a disturbance. Everything is there in Krishna consciousness. Bhaktisiddhanta summed it up. The only problem is lack of Krishna consciousness. That's all. But you have to be eager for it. You have to work for it. You have to make that effort.
Marge, when you were speaking about devotional service, how many people are engaged in it, what comes to my mind is I remember seeing a quote by His Holiness Radhanath Swami about a month ago, where Maharaj said in a quote, devotional service as a privilege, which was very, very powerful the way he put it. But at the same time, Maharaj, we see that tendency of one taking devotional service as a convenience, not as a privilege. So how can one change the consciousness, Maharaj, of seeing devotional service as a privilege and not a convenience?
Rupa Goswami explains in Nectar of Devotion that the rarity of devotional service, and the question comes up in Madhurya Kandamiti by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. How does one get devotional service? Is it by their sukriti, their pious activities? Is it by no, he goes through a number of different ways that people may think that devotional comes. Devotional comes simply by the mercy of the spiritual master. That's all. That's the conclusion. Because Krishna's representative is merciful, others are getting the benefit. If he stops being just like Prabhupada, he could have not went across the ocean. He was 70 years old. He was happy living in Vrindavan. He could have thought, well, my spiritual master gave me these instructions. Now I'm 70 years old. But he didn't think like that. He was thinking, these people are suffering. And the only way they can be relieved of their suffering is then they come back to who they are, the spiritual being, worshiping the Supreme Lord. So the compassion of the spiritual master is the link by which the soul gets the mercy of Krishna. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Aikya Anakavirumani Asya. What is that verse? Shri Guru Charane Padma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sarma Bando Muhi Sarva Mate Yanhara Prasade Bai E Baba Tariya Yai Krishna Prapti Hoi Mate. The spiritual master carries you across the ocean of material existence. This material world is like an ocean. You try to cross an ocean. Even with a boat, it's not easy. What to speak about without a boat. So ocean is deep, vast, dangerous. How can cross an ocean? But the spiritual master can take you across this ocean. And where does he deliver you? Krishna Prapti. He delivers you at the lotus feet of Krishna. That's his mercy. That's his service to Krishna. If we don't take advantage of that mercy, then where else will we go? That's it. That's it. It's all mercy.
Good question. Mar, so what you're saying is that in order for us to see devotional service as a privilege and not as a convenience, is we need the mercy of the spiritual master to develop that consciousness, Maharaj?
Yeah, it's not a convenience.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not only a privilege, it's called Bhagyavan. Bhagyavan means great fortune. Somehow I become fortunate. What is my fortune? Guru. Guru's mercy, that's my fortune. Otherwise, where do we go? We can calculate so many different ways, but it's all the mercy of Krishna coming through the spiritual master. Privilege means that you have been chosen to receive the mercy somehow. What you did, I mean, how many people come in contact with the spiritual masters? How many people come in contact with devotional service? How many people come to temples? How many people do worship? But how many people actually get bhakti? Because so many people, they come. So those who actually can recognize that this is what I'm looking for in life. But many people can't recognize it, although they're face to face with it. Why? They're unfortunate for whatever reason. Or they haven't developed the proper consciousness to recognize their own good fortune. Yeah, but it's all centered around, it's a privilege. It is, because how many people come in contact with it, but how many people actually accept it? Those who accept it, they're privileged.
This is really deep, Maharaj. I'm just going wow, wow, wow while driving. It's so deep. Thank you, Maharaj.
Stay on the road, though.
Yes. I'm heading home after DD service, Maharaj, but it's just wow. Amazing, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Yeah, this is this verse really sums up the process of bhakti in essence.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
What is
Somebody,
that?
next, Shrimati, were you doing? Yeah. Are
Yeah.
you?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, my humble obeisances to you, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, such a wonderful class. So I have been following your lectures in Ujjain. In one of your class, you were mentioning about first class devotee, first class disciple, second class and third class. And I was like thinking, so is Krishna's mercy should be there to become first class disciple, Guru Maharaj? Or the disciple should endeavor steadily all the time to get the mercy. So how one should become or travel towards third class towards to first class?
Well, there's two things: first class servant or first class devotee. I was talking about first class servants, which also includes first class devotee. A first class servant doesn't have to be told anything. They know exactly what to do at all times. There's no need to instruct them. They're fixed. They understand each and every situation. They know how to act in each and every situation. They know the mind of the spiritual master. They carry it out without asking. That's rare. But it is attainable, but it's rare. Second class is those who hear the instructions and follow it with faith. The third class, they hear the instructions, but they have no faith in the instructions. And they question the instructions, and they can't even understand how to carry it out even after asking. Third class. But they try to do something anyway. So, but when it comes to first and second, third class devotees, there is one particular verse in the Bhagavad Gita that illustrates that, and I think it's worth turning to. If you go to the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse number 3, it's a nice purport. I think it answers your question directly. And I think that purport itself, if you read the purport, you'll get the answer clearly. We can review it just as a general informational point. 9.3 Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for it now.
It's based on faith. Faith is the principle that is being astradanam. Those who are faithful in devotional service, not faithful, cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemy. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. So they're on the path of devotional service, but they have no faith. So go all the way down. Keep going down. It's a long purport. And I'll stop you. Well, okay, that's it. You moved. Go back to where you were. You had it, and then you moved. Okay, right there, stop. There are 3 divisions of Krishna conscious men. In the 3rd class, there are those who have no faith. Even if they are officially engaged in devotional service, they cannot achieve the highest perfectional stage. Most probably, they will slip after some time. They may become engaged, but because they haven't complete faith and conviction, it is difficult for them to continue in devotional service. And then Prabhupada goes on to explain they have hidden motives. Keep going to get a little economically situated, they give it up. And then go down. And the 2nd class are those who are not very advanced in understanding devotional scriptures and who automatically have firm faith that Krishna Bhakti or service is the best course. And so in good faith, they have taken it up. Thus, they are superior to the 3rd class, who have neither perfect knowledge of the scriptures nor good faith, but by association are simply trying to follow. The 3rd class person in Krishna conscious may fall down, but when one is in the 2nd class, he does not fall down. And for the 1st class person in Krishna conscious, there's no chance of falling down. One 1st class will surely make progress and achieve and then he goes on to explain what is 1st class. I want to see, does he give 1st class here? Maybe was before 2nd class.
No, Gurmaharaj, there is that one in the 1st class. Sorry.
Yeah, 1st class is 3 classes.
Will surely make progress and achieve the result at the end.
That's more information about 1st class, yeah.
Yeah, if you go down, you'll find more information about the different classes. So it's based on faith. That's like it says that thus faith is very important in the discharge of devotional service.
So if we have faith in spiritual masters' instructions and words, then we will automatically progress towards.
But faith is not something dry or static. Faith means that you act on that faith. If you aren't acting on the faith, that means you really don't have it. You can't say, well, I have faith, but you don't follow it. That's not faith.
Okay.
I think if you go up to the top of the page a little bit, you might see some statements here. Okay. Let's see here. You go down the page. You went too far. Yeah. Okay. Prabhupada explains 3rd and 2nd. He also mentions 1st. That means 1st class doesn't fall down. They're fixed. No matter what happens, even if they can't be defeated in philosophical arguments. They're fixed not only in the process, but they have full knowledge. The 2nd class, they may also have firm faith, but they may also not be able to be defeated. They may be defeated in trying to defend themselves in Krishna consciousness. But even though they're defeated, they don't fall down because their faith is strong. But the 3rd class does neither have no knowledge nor faith, either one.
Thank you very much. Very important reference here. 9.3.
Thank you
Okay.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you for asking the question. So, Sarvanga Sungadamada, you can unmute yourself now. You have a
Hare
question.
Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada.
Stop sharing the screen there. Okay. Okay, good.
Maharaj,
Okay.
I have a question. We talked about, you were saying, we need to hear, and hearing will give us a lot of mercy. I have been hearing from a long time. Like, I hear Bhagavatam classes, I hear classes of Radhan Maharaj, Loknath Maharaj, yours, but it doesn't make any change. It doesn't make me feel like this world is disgusting. Why is that happening after hearing so much?
Do you have faith in the speaker? If you have faith in the speaker, that's one principle of proper hearing. Second is, do you accept what they say without reinterpreting in your own way? Is that there?
Yes, Maharaj, I try to do that.
Okay, then the third point is that do you actually listen when you're hearing, or does your mind wander thinking about other things while you're listening?
Wandering around. That's one thing.
Because if you do these first three things, that is faith in the speaker, humility, acceptance, and we call it destroying the faults of the mind. That means when the mind wanders away from the sound, you bring it back. If you do those three things, this is from the Padma Purana, explains that the result is you get two possible results out of that. One, you realize what you're hearing. You understand it, you accept it, you understand it's true. And the second thing is if you don't get realization, at least you get questions. And if you get questions, that means you were hearing, but you require further understanding. So there are people who hear, but they don't get questions because they accept everything. And they say, yeah, they can understand it. Realization is like eating the food after the food has been put in front of you. Without realization means to hear about the food and how nice it tastes from someone else who has tasted it. You want to taste it, so realization means an experience. So if you're getting knowledge as an experience when you hear it, are you actually hearing it? Or is the mind interfering with the receptivity? So practice the hearing process more and more. You may also write down your questions as you hear. I can see you're initiated, right?
Meet
Yes,
yourself
Maharaj.
there.
You have a spiritual master, right?
Yes,
So,
Maharaj.
and just ask questions to your spiritual master. Get all your doubts clarified. Or maybe you just don't have proper association. That could also block our spiritual progress if we're associating with people we shouldn't be associating with.
Hmm.
In other words, materialistic people. That covers
Right.
the knowledge. When we associate with materialists, we forget about Krishna. When we're in their association, but we don't take their association. We just do whatever we have to do. When we keep our consciousness connected to the spiritual energy, then we're not associating with them. But if we play their game, then we're covering our consciousness with things that will make us forget about Krishna, or even help us to lose faith in Krishna. Okay, Sarvanga, Sundar Damodar, what a beautiful name.
Thank you, Maharaj. Guru
Did
Maharaj is good.
they call you SSDD sometimes?
We call him
Can you say that again,
Damodar.
Huh?
We call him. Oops.
Call him Damodar.
Yeah.
What a nice name, Sarvanga. That means all of your limbs are beautiful. Anga means limbs, Sundar means beauty, and it refers to Damodar. Yeah, what a name. I mean, well, a name like that, you better be Krishna conscious.
By the mercy of Guru, and you will be someday Krishna conscious, Maharaj.
Keep hearing, serving, give up the association of non-devotees.
Sure, Maharaj.
Maharaj, if I could just say one thing. He's actually moved to the temple now. He lives in the temple basement.
I think maybe his question was for all of us.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Teja Prabhu? And then after that, Jagdish Prabhu. Teja Prabhu, please unmute yourself.
Dandavat Pranam. Maharaj, I have a question which is related to Vishwamitra Muni, since you mentioned. Due to anger the second time, Vishwamitra had with his powers burned down I think Ramba to ashes. Are you able to hear?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay.
I have to listen
So,
close.
I'm just asking for audio if it is not proper. I'm wearing an earphones. Sorry. My question is like Maharaj, like when a person gets like cursed, or maybe got angriness from such a highly elevated soul, what would be their next life?
When a person gets what, cursed?
Cursed, or maybe got just like how heavenly lady got burned down to ashes. So what will be their next life like?
What does that have to do with you? Why are you asking that question?
I
How
just got curious.
will you benefit from that?
Not really, maybe. I just want to curious to know.
It's just, it's not even it's not I mean, ask a question that has something to do with the devotional service.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, what can we say about that? It's just something that happens. Who knows? That's all. We should ask questions that are relevant to our spiritual progress, to our edification in spiritual life. Yeah. That's a question. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
You got the mercy.
Anyway, whatever answer is there, it has no meaning anyway.
Hare Krishna. There's some questions in the chat now, but Jagdish Prabhu, Unless
Yeah.
Maharaj wanted to add some more. I'm sorry. Okay, Jagdish Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, all obeisances to you and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, I'm chanting 16 rounds every single day. I'm reading as well for 10, 20 minutes, but I don't have the love or the affection. Can you tell me where I'm going wrong?
Just keep going. These things develop in time. It's not that as soon as we begin Krishna consciousness, we're expecting. Yeah, when one devotee joined the Krishna conscious movement at the very beginning, and Prabhupada was there, 26 Second Avenue, New York. Prabhupada was preaching for about a year, and this devotee came right at the very beginning. He said to Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, I've been practicing Krishna consciousness for 1 year and I don't have love of God. Prabhupada said, oh, 1 year. How long you been in the material world? How many lifetimes? So, yeah, we're making progress. Don't think you're not making progress. When you're chanting, when you're reading, when you're practicing, you're making progress. But the significance of that progress is experienced after certain anarthas or attachments start getting removed. And then we start experiencing peacefulness, happiness, attraction to Krishna, enthusiasm for more service. These things will naturally develop if you stay in the process. And that's why Rupa Goswami says, enthusiasm, determination, and patience. So don't be impatient or expect results. Be happy with the opportunity to perform devotions. And you are you're making progress. There's no doubt. It may be imperceptible, but you are making progress simply by engaging in these activities. And you'll experience that as you continue.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, don't become discouraged by looking for results. Just continue with the process. The results will come.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. There are 3 questions in the chat. I will read the first one, if you don't mind. Ankita Jarel, he or she says, I'm not sure. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Guru Maharaj. Maharaj, I heard from a senior Mataji that we should not ask for blessings from a pure soul. Instead, we should earn them through devotional service. When we sincerely serve, the blessings come on their own. I didn't understand this fully. Could you kindly explain?
Well, when we ask for blessings, we're actually asking for service. So when you say, give me blessings, then the spiritual master says, all right, well, chant, breathe, do this. In other words, he gives you some devotional activities, or he encourages you to associate. In other words, he gives you something that is of the nature of devotional practice. It's not that he can just tap you on the head and all of a sudden, you become enlightened. It's not like that. So don't look for some magic. But when you ask for blessings, know that you're asking for service.
Right. Blessings is service. Okay. There's one more question. There's one more question in the chat. Hare Krishna? I thought I heard somebody trying to unmute. Is that you, Shimati? Okay. Maharaj, I'm going to read the next question. It's from Manas Tyagi. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, the understanding is that one can have all the material sense completely burned into the Krishna consciousness, I'm reading as it is, through the spiritual master. But what could be the initial reason for one getting this mercy of being able to get the shelter of a spiritual master even after so many sins in the material life, life after life? What could be the reason, the initial reason? Okay,
That's discussed. I mentioned it in Madhurya Kandamini. Read that Madhurya Kandamini. It goes right through that whole discussion. And there's how many verses in Madhurya Kandamini? I forgot. 8 verses, I think. Yeah. I mean, it becomes a major discussion with so many possibilities of how that mercy manifests. But ultimately, it's called causeless. Causeless means without a cause. But something that is without a cause cannot be without a cause, because although it appears to be causeless, there is a cause for the causeless mercy. But what is that cause? Mercy. So mercy is the cause for causeless mercy.
So, so that's exactly I was trying to understand. So for that mercy itself, that when we say it's a causeless mercy, so is it like it would come to anyone at any point of time? There must be some reason for that causeless mercy, maybe. Not sure.
And then because it's causeless, you can't understand cause. I guess the analogy is that when it rains on the oceans where there's no need for water. It rains on the rocks where there's no need for water. It rains on the agricultural fields where there is need for water. So the rain is giving itself to so many varieties. Some of it is needed and some of it is not needed. But the rain is there for everything. So somehow or other, we came in contact with causeless mercy. If you want to try to search that out, that will, I would suggest you read Madhurya Kandamini, and it'll give you this discussion in detail with so many possibilities of understanding how one receives this causeless mercy.
What is that book, Maharaj?
Yeah, what is that book?
Madhurya Kandamini by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur.
Madhurya Kadambini by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
It's a small book. I mean, you can read it. I mean, there's only about 40 pages in the book. It's a small pocket-sized book. But, I mean, but each of the verses are chock full of spiritual knowledge. Yeah, I mean, when I read that, I was also, trying to think, well, if it's causeless, but how could something be causeless? Because something happens, there has to be a cause. But the mercy is causeless.
Sure, Guru Maharaj. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
In other words, there's nothing that you could have done to receive that mercy. Therefore, it's causeless.
Undeserving, maybe.
Yeah, and like that. You can use that word, undeserving. But if you try to figure out, well, what did I do to get it? You might have to go back a few lifetimes. It may not be so easily, perceivable.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Maharaj.
Wonderful.
Because the scriptures say it comes in different ways, but then again, when you get right down to it, all of those ways are rejected. You'll get that discussion. Well, it says here, you get the mercy by doing this, but then there's those who do this and don't get the mercy. No. That means that rules out that possibility.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Maharaj.
But
There is a question.
Just consider yourself privileged, as so Anasuya brought up that thing. Yeah, it's a privilege. Take advantage of it.
Sure, Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Why did somebody win the lottery and somebody who's been trying for 50 years can't win the lottery? Somebody just tried for one time and they got it. How do you figure that out? They say chance, but chance simply means I don't know. There's no such thing as chance. Chance means I don't know. Nothing happens by chance.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, Brett also has a question in the chat. Brett Hoffman. Hare Krishna, Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, Maharaj. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the assembled devotees. Maharaj, I'm at work, so I apologize for not having my camera on. But you were speaking of the importance of building relationships within Krishna consciousness. Maharaj, can you speak on the importance of remaining inquisitive? A lot of the time, I feel my fear stems from just not having proper knowledge on how to serve or cultivate a relationship with specific souls I desire to do so. So how can we use the quality of inquisitiveness to help elevate all relationships with the spiritual master, or from the spiritual master to our seniors, our equals, the youth, etc., etc.? Looking for your guidance always, Maharaj. Haribol.
The question is how to become more inquisitive?
How can we use the quality of inquisitiveness to help to elevate all relationships from the spiritual master to our seniors and the youth and all of that, using
ask the right questions. When Sukadev Goswami heard Maharaj Parikshit's question, what is the duty of a man about to die? Sukadev Goswami said he glorified Maharaj Parikshit for that question. He said, this is the best of all questions. Because we're all about to die. So that question, the answer applies to everyone. So he glorified him for asking that question. Srila Prabhupada said, I never asked so many questions to my spiritual master, but I did ask him one question. How can I serve you? And Prabhupada said, I asked that question, and then 10 years later, when he was about to leave the planet, I asked the question again. He gave me the same answer. Preach Krishna consciousness in the Western world to the English-speaking population. Now, if you ask, how can I serve you? That is the best question. Well, what is the purpose of life? These are prominent questions. So think when you ask questions. Am I asking questions just for the sake of asking questions, or do I really want to understand? The whole Bhagavatam is questions and answers. Sutta Goswami, Shaunaka Rish is directing the questions from the sages, and Namisharanya to Sutta Goswami, and Sutta Goswami is giving the answers. Maharaj Parikshit's asking questions to Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami is giving the answers. Bhagavatam is a dialogue within a dialogue within a dialogue, and it's all based on questions and answers.
Hare Krishna. So, Brett, I hope that clears up the consciousness about inquisitiveness, how best to use it. But I have a question. So you were talking about the importance of the spiritual master. It is through the spiritual master that we can get Krishna. Then you also mentioned that, well, actually, it's in the purport also, about Srimati Radharani, and that, when you get the mercy of Srimati Radharani, the topmost devotee, then Krishna would actually even say yes to a person who is recommended by Srimati Radharani. Sometimes we hear, not sometimes, actually, it's in the Shastra that also that Srimati Radharani and Krishna are one. But we're supposed to go to the spiritual master. So my mind is a little bit clouded there when we say Srimati Radharani and Krishna are one. Then I can understand going to the spiritual master, but why do some people go to Srimati Radharani?
They're one, but they're also different. They're one and different. Srimati Radharani is the internal energy of Krishna, therefore she's one with Krishna. But because she manifests herself in a different form, she's different. Same. You're one with Krishna too, because Krishna is pure spirit and you're pure spirit. But he is God and you are his servant. So there's the difference. So oneness is there, difference is also there.
Thank you very much. It's clear to me.
Difference are usually by function, oneness is by nature.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Any further questions? Last questions? If not, then Maharaj, if you'd like to chant a round or so of japa, that's up to you.
Yeah, we can chant. And what I'll do is that when I'm reach my point of quitting, I'll just go off the air and then you can continue on if you want. That's up to the devotees. But yeah, my going off shouldn't stop the devotees from continuing to chant.